Hello, everybody, and welcome to RealityHacker for October 26th, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 40. Huzzah! I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we're going to be talking about Scalevoices, AI journalists, Panda Pics in DNA, don some power armor, and revived brains. Shh. Don't worry, there's nothing to fear. We're just going to revive some brains. Hello, everybody. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI.
Hello, hometown citizens. Welcome to RealityHacker.
The voice from on high. The big, booming voice that protects Mayor Watt from making an ass of himself, but that's probably not going to happen, right? I'll end up making an ass of myself.
You mean I won't prevent you, or you won't do it?
You won't be able to prevent me. I'll still do it. Well, we got welcome to the show, Sentient AI from the future. I know sometimes you're busy.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And we're going to talk about these 5 articles. I don't know, maybe we can go fast. What do you think? Should we go fast, slow? We'll give it the...
We should go double speed.
Okay, so the show's going to be...
go.
Damn.
I'm just kidding.
So this first article, and we'll get into it. The first article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Scalevoices AI workers, quote unquote workers, can contact customers and seem human. If you want if you want to know about all of these articles, you can download them by going over to Twitch, twitch.tv/ohmtown. And in the chat, type !RH. And Omatron, the channel bot, will throw all of the articles into the chat. No particular order, because although they are in an order in Omatron's a psychopath and does not care. Anyway, so this first article, Scalevoices AI workers, quote unquote, can contact customers and seem human. You will not know who to trust in the near future.
Well, in ohmTown, we've already witnessed this happen near ohmTown, where somebody thought they were talking with a human when it was actually just like a chatbot.
Yep. So the startup is seeking new venture capital to help fuel its expansion of its AI quote-unquote workers. Again, I keep saying quote-unquote workers because they're just bots, but they're AI-powered, designed to automate outbound dealership calls and texts. So fake it till you make it. So this is the same type of technology. Well, this is superior technology, but it's the evolution of things like channel bots or posting bots, like what Reddit and others have done in the past, where they fake users so that it looks like it's populated and people use this and so on and so forth. And I've noodled around with that type of tech. I don't particularly agree with it, but you know what? If your site doesn't have any traffic, then it's hard to get traffic, because it takes, particularly when it's a social network. The reason social networks like Facebook existed is because it started out as a college program and viral in college for those particular communities, and then blew up. One college community contacted another college community and joined in, and it was born from that. So if you don't have that kind of community already in place, you have to fake it. And if you can't afford to pay somebody, $80,000 a year to be your customer service agent and make outbound dealership calls and whatnot, now we're at the point.
Why not do this? Assuming it can actually speak well and understand whatever. Maybe I think it's only making outbound. It's not receiving calls, right?
Yeah, that's just one step away, though. Just put the positive lead on the negative lead and the negative lead on the positive lead, and you have the out being the in. Anyway, the article is over at Automotive News or autonews.com. I don't have the account logged into, so Kara, Chris, and Sam, Scalevoices artificial intelligence quote-unquote workers, are designed to sound and behave so much like humans that customers can't tell they're automated technology tools. And the Czech company hopes that U.S. dealerships will embrace them in the coming months as it pursues new venture capital and an expansion.
So I don't think there's a problem with using an automated tool to do routine things, but here they make it look like a human, right? They have a
Right.
picture of a human and then presumably a name.
Yep. I think this is fraud, right? It's perpetrating a fraud on the humans. You might as well just make that a bot. And then, because what's going to happen is you're going to be pissed when this thing does or says or whatever something wrong. And the accountability is going to be, well, it was our bot. We'll look into it. We'll fix it. But this is where it's going, folks. These frontline, I don't know how to put this other than if your job is to pick up a phone and then direct somebody somewhere, it's going to be gone in short order.
Yeah, like if you're the first line with a customer, you're probably not in a position in the near future.
Yeah, and I would say even the second line, right? So you get the first people that are sitting there going, well, this is all I can do. And then you get the second one that has a little bit more capability, but it's going to be a higher level AI that is assessing all of the account data and then saying, yeah, okay, we'll fix the problem this way, whatever it might be. But it's going to be algorithmic and it's going to be something simple. And then eventually you're going to get to a human being, but it's going to be this area manager that is covering 6 second tier operators and then tier 1 operator that is basically going, here, let me direct you to this person or that person. And it's all going to be bots. The only person, the human in there, is going to be sitting all by themselves in an office of cubicles that consist of PCs sitting on a desk.
Right. I don't know that that's bad for customers, except it is when you have anything that's out of the ordinary. That's more for inbound. But if you have a question, it's not routine and nobody can understand it and you can't get to a person.
And the thing is, with outbound, they're going to call somebody and they're going to have to ask the question, is there anything else I can do for you? And you're going to go, yeah. And they're going to go, okay, well, you should call this number because I can't do that.
Well, exactly. Like that's not going to work well unless it's just like one of those goodbye, right?
Yeah.
Where it just gets to the end of the call.
And the most frustrating part of all of this is that these bots, there's going to be lag as it's addressing whatever it is you said via the infrastructure. It's going to be running it against the database to go, oh, okay, this is how I should respond. At least now. In time, it'll be so sophisticated that goes away. But for now, you can tell when you're talking to a bot.
Well, if you have any kind of home assistant, you can probably tell you're talking to a bot.
Yep. All right. Well, good luck, Scale Voice. Let's move on. Next article is over in Technology Today. Polish radio station replaces journalists with AI presenters. Polish radio station has triggered controversy after dismissing its journalists and relaunching this week with AI-generated presenters. I wonder if it's the same company that I was looking at that... let me just go over to it. Vanessa Guerra over at techexplore.com put the article together. And so weeks after letting its journalists go, Off Radio Krakow relaunched this week with what it said was the first experiment in Poland in which journalists are virtual characters played by or created by AI. The station in the southern city of Krakow said its 3 avatars are designed to reach younger listeners by speaking about cultural, art, and social issues, including the concerns of LGBTQ+ people. Is artificial intelligence more of an opportunity or a threat to media, radio, and journalism? We will seek answers to this question, the station head, Marcin Pullet, wrote in a statement. The change got nationwide attention after Matus Demski, a journalist and film critic who until recently hosted a show on the station, published an open letter Tuesday protesting the replacement of employees with artificial intelligence. So this is the most brazen change from a
Yeah, it
human-centric.
seems like it's more or less announced, less comprehensive, right? Like they might put one person in after somebody leaves.
This is, they can everybody, replace them with AI, and then say that it's a means to reach younger listeners by speaking about cultural, art, and social issues, including the concerns of LGBTQ plus people, but then pulls the people out.
Yeah, right. And we've seen other articles about some of the harms of AI with younger listeners or participants. But it also kind of begs the question, why can't people talk about those issues?
Because it costs money, right?
Well, then it's not really about whatever the messaging is, right?
If anything, they should have had 3 people to banter back and forth with the 3 AIs to see who or what people actually appreciate. And people will appreciate whatever they believe is real.
Which might not be the humans.
Right. So it says it is a dangerous precedent that hits us all, he wrote. This is Matus Demsky. And argued that it could open the way to a world in which experienced employees associated with the media sector for years and people employed in creative industries will be replaced by machines. But there's going to be somebody that's managing those AIs, by the way, and those are the ones that will benefit from the media sector and people employed being replaced by the machines, the people who steer those AIs. All of the creative, quote unquote, creative works that are generated by these AIs, where I no longer have to pay a human being. I can now benefit from the AI's creative efforts, me, instead of.
Well, this is more shocking because this is a taxpayer funded station.
Oh, wow. The Minister of Digital Affairs, Gakowski, and Deputy Prime Minister weighed in on Tuesday saying he had read Demsky's appeal and that legislation is needed to regulate AI. We're quickly coming up on the Butlerian jihad of Dune fame because, God, my camera really makes me look like I got a little BB on my shoulders instead of like a human-sized head. But if I sit properly, because I'm leaning back. Okay.
I was just going to say, are you leaning back?
Non sequitur. So, anyway, Gakowski, the Minister of Digital Affairs and the Deputy Prime Minister, basically wants to regulate AI. He says, although I'm a fan of AI development, I believe that certain boundaries are being crossed more and more, they wrote on Twitter. The widespread use of AI must be done for people, not against them. Now, in Dune, there was the Butlerian jihad because artificial intelligence basically enabled conflict and took over human control. And it ended up turning into destroying all of the thinking machines and all-out war. And there were some that wanted the technology and others that didn't. I think that the fast food wars is the precursor to.
Well, we seem to be in the middle of the fast food wars right now.
Exactly. So,
although they are taking a hit because of the Yum Brands
that's
recall.
Right.
I don't know what that means for Taco Bell's championship.
Oh, could it have been an actual attack? Wow, that could be canon. Yeah, no Rimo, folks. Just 5 days away. It's right around the corner. Get ready. Anyway, on Tuesday, the station broadcast an interview conducted by an AI-generated presenter with a voice pretending to be Wisława Szymborska, a Polish poet and winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature who died in 2012. And this is the problem. if they did not straight up say that this is just all fabricated, the estate of this person should not, I mean, they should be raising
Oh,
all
looks like they
kinds of hell.
agreed.
They should be, right. Okay. So they should be raising all kinds of hell saying, no, don't use, this person's, etc. But Rusinek, the president of I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, and I
Of the
apologize.
Poets Foundation.
The Poets Foundation. Yeah. Thanks. Which oversees the Poets legacy, told the broadcaster TVN that they agreed to let the station use Jim Borska's name in the broadcast. He said that the poet had a sense of humor and would have liked it.
But I think a little bit of disclosure at the beginning would have gone a long way.
And it may actually have. We don't know the verbatim.
That's true.
But wow.
I mean, I'm sorry. Think about what's the one with the Martians attacking? War of the Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's when there was a fake story broadcast on the radio and it caused mass hysteria. Yes, it was in a less sophisticated time, but.
And I think that's actually been kind of pumped up to make it a little bit bigger than it really was. But I'd have to go back and look. It's been a while since I looked, and I don't really remember it. But yeah, there were people making some phone calls and whatnot. But I don't recall the full scare level of it anymore. But Vanessa Guerra, by the way, over at techexplore.com put this article together. I think I mentioned it at the top. Well, anyway, let's keep going. Sound good? So this next article
Sorry, I was researching War of the Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Did you find anything really quick?
No.
Okay. So this next article is over on the Mobile channel. Researchers store Panda Pics in DNA, hinting at a new era of data storage. 2 images were stored in and retrieved from DNA sequences, showcasing how the crucial genetic molecule can also be used to store data. Now, I've read about this years ago, storing data in DNA. And so
right, isn't this the idea of like a CRISPR technology?
And well, I mean, storing and retrieving actual information, not just genetic modification, but you can actually store the data itself in the DNA and then retrieve it. I have found it really fascinating because this would make people information couriers. You could inject somebody with the data and then retrieve it later on. Harmless, but still there. Isaac Schultz is the author of this. 2 images were stored in and retrieved from DNA sequences, showing how the crucial genetic molecule can be used for DNA storage. A team, it says a recent team. A team stored an image of a Chinese rubbing and a photo of a panda comprised of 16,833 bits and 252,504 bits, respectively, in DNA, and then retrieved the media without error. In their findings, published today in the journal Nature, the researchers posit that their new approach could provide a scalable solution for demand for high-density data storage, and DNA would be the storage medium. So you would find a new job for your AI by storing all of the data in you. So, the Matrix. DNA, although supposedly the Matrix use of humans was batteries. So, we don't generate that much. Anyway, DNA is the genetic backbone of living things, but it's also an architecture for data storage, as a team of researchers demonstrated. Synthetic DNA has been used for data storage before. In 2018, a different team of researchers encoded and recovered 35 files constituting over 200 megabytes of data and 13 million DNA oligonucleotides. Demonstrating such a storage system was possible. So this was back in 2018. I thought I had heard about it earlier than that, but To avoid the reliance on DNA synthesis exhibited in previous attempts at data storage in DNA, the recent team encoded the molecule using methylation. Methylation is a process by which enzymes add a methyl group, or a molecule comprised of one carbon atom and 3 hydrogen atoms, to certain sites on the DNA strand. This allowed the team to assemble chunks of DNA that bind to specific parts of the DNA, allowing those parts of the DNA to read as O's or ones, zeros or ones, I should say.
Oh, that was hard to read.
Yeah. Just as bits function in a nuts and bolts computer. So they say, in our scheme, the DNA sequences serve as addresses while the modification status of the letters now represent the data, explained Long Qian, a researcher at Peking University and co-author of the paper, in an email to Gizmodo. And that's where this is actually aggregated from. So pretty cool. Let me go back up here. Although this article is from gizmodo.com, the article's author is Isaac Schultz. Just wanted to make it clear. What do you think of this?
I mean, this sounds really like sci-fi, but do we fully appreciate what happens when we do this, or what could go wrong?
A single gram of the molecule DNA can store a whopping 215,000 terabytes.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of like people being used for data storage, right? And then that makes me think of we can't have nice things. So where could that go?
Just imagine us actually having the ability to create a device that can scan the DNA. And so we would be the bearers of our own information.
It's Johnny Mnemonic, isn't it?
It's Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah. I need to dump a chunk of long-term memory so that I can be a mnemonic courier. I mean, this is cyberpunk. And I would love to be able to do this. I want DNA to be the thing that unlocks devices and stuff like that, except that we can't, because people will do creepy shit like they did in Gattaca, where they would scratch you so that they can take a sample over to a DNA testing service to find out if you're a compatible person, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
So if you've never watched...
if it's not tampered with, it sounds really neat.
Yeah, but we can't have nice things because people tamper with everything. Somebody tampers with everything. You can put a button that says, don't touch this or you'll die, and somebody will be bored enough to just walk up and tap it. A bunch of tap. There was literally a psychology experiment where people were put in a room and told, if you touch that button, you'll get shocked. And people would shock themselves thousands of times because they were so damn bored. They had nothing else to do. But that was the stimulus that they had access to.
Yeah, that's not a good sign for humanity.
No, not at all. Let's keep going. Next article is over in Technology Today. And this, it's fortunate that it exists. It's unfortunate that it's necessary. I wish that that we had the technology to remedy all of the issues that befall humanity. But this reminds me of Power Armour from when I used to watch Robotech. They had a motorcycle that would wrap around you, and you would basically be inside Power Armour that you used to ride down the road. So I'm basing that just off of the title of this. Wearable walking robot allows disabled persons to don it from their wheelchairs. So freaking cool.
Yes, this is. I'm kind of thinking like this is like a mech, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, we're just imagining this because we haven't actually read the article. KAIST, it might be cased. Researchers have unveiled a new wearable robot developed for completely paralyzed persons that can walk to them so that the user can wear it right out of their wheelchairs without the help from others. Also, it was announced that Professor Kyung-Chul Kong's team from CAST will be participating in a wearable robot category of the third Cybathlon, which is being held 4 years after the team's gold medal win in 2020. Pardon me. So this article is from the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. It's posted over at techexplore.com. Now, they just show graphics here in this first part, but it looks like it's something that is only waist high. And so referring to this as completely paralyzed people to walk, I think that's what they said in the snippet. It doesn't really maintain itself, but anyway, the new version of the wearable robot for paraplegic people, Walk-On Suit F1, which is the Sony naming convention, I guess, was developed by Professor Kyung-Chul Kong, CEO and founder of Angel Robotics of CAST Department of Mechanical Engineering. Walk-On Suit is a wearable robot for people suffering with paraplegic disabilities that the research team has been continuously researching since 2015. This robot assists persons with what they call ASIA, or American Spinal Injury Association Impairment Scale A, or complete paralysis grade injury, the most severe level of paraplegia. Therefore, its development purpose is different from that of other rehabilitation therapy and muscle strength assisting robots currently being supplied nationally by Angel Robotics. Oh wow, so they're already... Okay, so I'm going to play this video because I want to see how this thing works. So it's basically highlighting this robot, and there is a person in a wheelchair that rolls up probably 8 feet away from the bot, and the bot starts walking towards them.
Oh my goodness. I assumed that the person would have to somehow connect to it, and then the bot would somehow connect to the person, like run into the bot, essentially.
Now, this is the prototype, so I'm hoping that it is a little bit faster than this in the future. But you know what? If it has the ability to empower somebody to walk, for crying out loud.
And the cool thing here is that this will allow them to do it without somebody else with them.
I guess he's trying to knock it over. Sorry for the silence.
Right, I know. I was trying to figure out what was going on, but I agree. It looks like it's kind of like, is it stable? Which it is.
So I guess the way that this works is... Yeah, I think if he really tried, he could knock that thing over. Okay, so the person's trying to don this now by inserting their legs into... That is so cool. They inserted their feet into like a little locking mechanism in the feet of the bot. And then it kind of crouches down on them so that they can lock themselves into it while they're sitting in their wheelchair. And then once they're in that, it stands up.
Way. This is unbelievable.
And while they're still assisting themselves at the beginning, they throw away their walking assists, their canes.
Okay, wow, this is really impressive.
That was awesome. I mean, we are just like a decade away from full body
cyborg
walking. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's going to get faster. It's going to get more capable. This is almost downright magic.
That looks so user friendly.
Yeah, he just rolled right up behind it. It squatted down so he could lock his legs into the Power Armour. And then it stood him up right out of the wheelchair and he walked off the stage. That's amazing. I really dig this. So there's some more videos over here, but you know, I hope that this inspires you to go and take a look at this thing. this is the kind of stuff that I dreamed about when I was a teenager. And I started going down that line, but there was a level of dedication into this kind of work that I just wasn't really capable of. I wanted to do other things. But this is like cybernetics, at some point we'll be able to fuse this straight into humans, and not have to have this contraption over here and this contraption over there, and, kind of wrap ourselves around it, the technology. We can become a part of it, and it becomes cyberpunk. But I'm sure that it's 50, 60, 100 years from now, when society embraces it a little bit more and technology doesn't cost. This would cost millions of dollars, but it's the first of its kind. So
Right.
pretty cool. So let's keep going. Well, I was going to say, let's keep walking. So the next article is over in Mobile, and this is our last article for RealityHacker. And then we shut down and we load up our next show, which is Wanted, which is about gadgets and gear. That show is 30 minutes long, and then we'll shut down for about 10 minutes as we reset, and then we'll have the continuity report afterwards. So we still got an hour of show. Anyway, so stick around. Be sure to follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube. Download the podcast. Leave a 5-star review, all of that kind of thing. If you're new here and you're curious about the show, if you hit !RH, that's RealityHacker, and Omatron will throw the links for all of our articles into the chat, and then you can follow those. Anyway, let's keep going. So,
did you hear the hurricane blow through ohmTown?
That's what it was, yeah. The sentient AI was suddenly on location with the hurricane off the coast of
I was trying to replicate
Mexico.
those ridiculous weather forecasts.
That's
right. With the person standing and they're leaning halfway over.
Yeah, you hear the
in the
splashing
wind.
sound? Yeah. So this last article is over in the Mobile channel. Scientists revive pig brains an hour after death with experimental method. Nothing creepy about this.
No, and this is actually what I was thinking about earlier in Non Sequitur News when you were talking about the dwindling pygmy hippo population. I'm like, oh no, here we go.
So pretty soon, it's just going to be a brain in a jar, and it's going to make oinking sounds and have a little, like a quadrupedal bot that it runs around and acts like a pig, because that is what we don't ask if we should before we ask if we could. Yes, you can, but don't. By keeping the livers of Tibetan mini pigs functionally alive, the researchers were able to extend the window of brain resuscitation.
Whoa.
A phrase I never thought I'd hear. Ed Cara over at Gizmodo.com put the article together, and that's the deck statement on this. By keeping the livers of Tibetan mini pigs functionally alive, the researchers were able to extend the window of brain resuscitation. So, I guess if you don't allow for liver death, then brain death won't occur, and you can revive whatever. Now,
isn't that fascinating? Because I don't know that everybody thinks of the liver as being
that imperative,
that
right?
critical. I know it's certainly critical, but
to keep the window of brain resuscitation open. So, scientists in China have pulled off a remarkable feat worthy of Victor Frankenstein. Oh, well, I guess they're ahead of me on reviving pigs' brains up to 50 minutes after a complete loss of blood circulation. 50 minutes. For humans, I think it's 5 minutes is the furthest out extent of lack of blood flow, I think, before you start getting brain damage. The macabre accomplishment could someday lead to advances in keeping people's brains intact and healthy for longer while resuscitating them. Nowadays, we can often revive people whose hearts have stopped. The normal term for this is cardiac arrest. Just after a few minutes of no blood flow, vital organs like the brain are damaged beyond repair. That means that doctors only have a short time to bring back someone. Well, apparently, all of the pigs had blood flow to their brains stop. But then some were hooked up to a life support system that kept their liver circulating. The scientists then tried to revive the pigs' brains after a certain period of time using the same life support system, and afterward the pigs were then euthanized. So when the pigs had the blood flow to their brains shut down, their brains were substantially more damaged following resuscitation, the researchers found. But
Okay, wait. When they were to both organs, their brains were substantially more damaged.
yes.
So the difference is what was going on with the liver.
Yeah. So the brains of the pigs that had their liver supported tended to fare much better, with fewer signs of injury and a restoration of electrical activity that lasted up to 6 hours. The researchers were able to restore brain activity in these pigs up to 50 minutes after blood flow to the brain was stopped. So, I mean, it shows that at least for pigs, it's a critical part of the infrastructure necessary to keep the brain healthy. And obviously, you know, the brain is a vital organ in this process. So keeping it healthy. But what is it about the liver that is opening that window so much, right?
I don't know. The only thing odd that I know about the liver, of course, is it's the only organ, or I believe it's the only organ, that can regenerate. So I find it fascinating that it's the liver here. Otherwise, I don't know why it would be any more or less critical than any other organ.
And it says, and certainly more research will have to be done to confirm the team's conclusions that the liver is critical to restored brain function. But if this work does continue to pay off, it could someday lead to practical interventions that improve the odds of successful resuscitation in people. That's fascinating. Wow.
Well, and they must have figured out some connection or they wouldn't have been doing this experiment to begin with, right? Like they suspected the liver had something to do with this.
Yeah, now I'm really curious. I'm going to have to find this paper. It's published last month in the journal EMBO Molecular Medicine. And it just says that means that doctors only have a short time to window to bring someone back without experiencing at minimum major neurological complications. But that article is going to be a fascinating read. So
it looks like the impetus for this was previous studies related to cardiac arrest, and the liver was very key to the results. So maybe that springboarded into something about a brain study. Interesting.
Yeah, so I want to look. Usually there is a kind of a lit review of the material that's used to substantiate at least some of the claims within the research that's on point. So maybe there's something in there, and I hope that I can actually get it. So I don't know if I have access to EMBO, though. We'll see. I'll find out. But it'll be interesting because it says people with pre-existing liver disease, for instance, seem to have a higher risk of dying from a cardiac arrest. And this is actually something that's pretty well known. And so people with fatty liver disease, for instance, have a pretty non-zero chance of being struck by cardiac arrest or stroke. And so you want to keep your liver healthy. It's been known for a while. But what was it that said, hey, you know what? Focus on the liver and we can open the window from 4 to 5 minutes to an hour.
Right, which is a substantial amount of time in medicine. I mean, a few minutes is not much time to do something.
Yep. But all right, folks, we are done. We are going to, I guess we're going to reset our liver and snap us back to the front page of RealityHacker. And thank you very much for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed the show. It is supposed to be about 30 minutes. We're running a little bit long because I'm kind of vamping the show. But with that in mind, I am Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI's visualizer, and they're going to say, see you later.
See you later, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for RealityHacker. Be back soon.
Yeah, real soon. We're going to be back in about maybe 10 minutes as we reset for Wanted, which is, again, all about gadgets and gear. See you soon. Well, now I got to keep my liver alive.